Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. First of all, I really hope you're all doing okay at the moment. I know we're in the midst of extremely uncertain times, and I was even contemplating whether I should sit down and film this video or not, because I know there's many other important things to discuss right now and to deal with, but I know a lot of you guys are at home at the moment and this video has been really highly requested, so I thought, you know, while you have the chance to watch it and maybe some extra time on your hands, I'll go ahead and do it. Hopefully this video will be a bit of a distraction for you, maybe a little bit of escapism. I know that I'm trying to watch so many different things right now to just take my mind off everything. So yeah, I just wanted to include that little disclaimer at the beginning. But back to the video. As you can see from the title, this video was all about my laser eye surgery experience. I initially was hoping to upload this video on the 2-month mark of my surgery, which was a couple of weeks ago, but it's been a little bit harder to film with both me and David working at home. So I'm sorry for the slight delay there, and I know a lot of you have been getting in touch about it, so please forgive me. Finally have it for you. I actually filmed this video once already on the 1-month mark, but I think 2 months after the surgery is a better place for me to tell you more about it and kind of give you a really good thorough overview of my recovery and just all the things that you can expect. So yeah, I asked you guys for questions about my experience a while ago, probably like a week after I got my surgery done, and tons of you got in touch. I was actually really surprised at the amount of you that were interested in the surgery and that wanted to get it done as well. So I've written down all the questions you asked me. There was loads of overlapping ones, so I'm going to try and cover them all today in this video, and also just share, you know, my overall review of my experience with you. It has been extremely life-changing for me, and that's not even being dramatic. It's really been one of the best things I've ever done. And I know before I did it, I was so curious about so many things, and I was looking into it for a good year before I ever decided to bite the bullet and do it. And I'm sure a lot of you are in the same boat, so hopefully this video can help you guys make your decision and just answer any questions you might have. So let's get right into it. Okay, so a quick background about me before I start answering the questions. I was wearing glasses for about 8 years and I was short-sighted. I had a prescription of I think -3, so I began wearing glasses in secondary school for just to be able to see like the whiteboard. Towards the end of my time wearing glasses, I was completely reliant on them. I could not see hardly anything without my glasses on. So yeah, I was pretty much wearing them full time at the end, and I didn't have contact lenses. I never got them as a preference, and because of that I was just getting really fed up with having to make sure I had my glasses at like occasions and events, you know, things you wouldn't maybe want to wear glasses to. That's kind of what gave me the push to get the surgery. And also my mom really thought it would be a good idea. She had it done previously and she was really happy with it, so she was always kind of egging me on to do it. So yeah, that's my background, and that was my situation prior to the surgery. So that kind of covers the why question as well. Actually, a lot of you asked me, why did I want to get it done? Did I not enjoy wearing glasses? And that's pretty much it. I never had a problem with wearing glasses. I just didn't like that I had to rely on them so much. Then moving on to the questions about the surgery itself. The most popular one you guys asked me was where I was getting it done and what was the cost. So I decided to get it done in Ireland. A lot of you were actually wondering why I didn't do it in New York as well, but I actually just never even thought to do it in New York. I still like go to the doctor and dentist in Ireland. I never really stopped doing that, so straight away I just assumed that I would do it in Ireland, and I presume as well that it's also cheaper to do it in Ireland. Everything is more expensive here, so that's what I presumed. I never really looked into it here, so I can't give you much information, but yeah, I just was always going to do it in Ireland. I always go home for a couple of weeks at Christmas, so I thought that would be a good time to do it. I thought it'd be better to be closer to my family, you know, have a car to be able to drive to and from the appointments and the surgery and etc. Just that was my decision. And where I got it done was a place called Optical Express. I had looked into a couple of places, but a few friends of mine had recommended Optical Express to me, so I just ended up going with them. I went to the one in Mahon Point, but they have a few. I think there's one in Dublin, and I'm not sure if there's a couple more in the country, but you can definitely Google it, I'd say. And yeah, overall I did find them quite good. I did have a bit of a situation where my surgery was actually cancelled very last minute. The first time I was supposed to get it done, and I did explain this on my Instagram stories, but if you didn't see it, basically I was originally supposed to get my surgery done on December 16th, I think it was. So I flew home early for Christmas from New York, and the night before my surgery it was cancelled due to a death in the doctor's family. So it was definitely unavoidable. There was nothing they could do about it because they didn't have any other doctors. So I ended up having to reschedule my surgery for after Christmas, which just meant I had to stay in Ireland a little bit longer. So at the time it was a bit annoying, and I did have to like change my flight and everything like that. And they didn't like cover any of that cost. but to be honest, like, I did understand it wasn't, you know, in their control. They obviously didn't do it on purpose, and we just got on with it, and luckily I was able to rearrange it and like still get it done during that trip, because I would have been gutted if I had to like put it off for another few months. Only other issue I had with them was communication was a little bit tricky, because basically they're based in Scotland, as far as I know, like that's where their company was established, and then they just have like stores around Ireland. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I was getting, and sometimes I would be getting calls from Scotland to confirm appointments, sometimes I'd be getting calls from Cork, and there was a bit confusing at times. That was the only thing I would say was a little bit negative about my experience with them, but otherwise, like, everyone I dealt with in Cork and in Dublin were really nice, and the surgery went really well. So overall, I would recommend them if you are looking for somewhere to go. And the total cost for the procedure was €4,000. I know a lot of you were interested in that, and I paid for that all myself. I think my insurance covered like a percentage, maybe 10%. I'll have to double confirm that, but yeah, I think it was about 10%. It wasn't a big lump sum or anything like that. So it is expensive, it is an investment, but like, I would pay it 10 times over. It is like life-changing, and I definitely think it's 100% worth it, and you could spend the money in much worse ways, but obviously you do have to save up for it, and I was saving up for it for quite a while. I knew I was getting it done for about a year or so, so it's definitely something to think about, but I would say it was worth every single penny. Next question was, what type of laser surgery did I get? Because there is two different types, well, two that I'm aware of anyway. There is the Lasik and the Lasik. They sound really similar, so I will put the word up on the screen, and I ended up getting the Lasik. So I ended up getting Lasek. Originally, after my first appointment, my doctor thought I would be able to get Lasik, which is the easier type of surgery. It's a different type of procedure that they do. I think it has something to do with your cornea. I'm not 100% sure, but it is an easier one. For instance, the recovery is shorter. You don't have to put in the protective lenses after the surgery, which I'll get to in a minute. And yeah, originally they thought I'd be able to do that, but after further review of my scans, they actually decided to do the Lasik on me, which is slightly harder, slightly longer recovery. With the Lasik, you do have to get protective lenses put into your eyes straight after the surgery, and they have to stay in for, I think it was 4 days. And yeah, the recovery is a little bit longer. So whereas with Lasik, they say that you're pretty much like ready to go again after 1 to 2 days. So yeah, it just depends. The lucky ones definitely get to do Lasik, and Lasik is a little bit trickier, but they're just the two different types, and I did get the slightly harder one, but again, it still wasn't that bad, and I'll get to that in the recovery when I'm telling you more about that. Okay, next question was, how many appointments and like consultations did you have to have before the procedure? Obviously my situation was a little bit different because I was in New York, so I had my first consultation when I think it was when I was home during the summer, so I think it was August I had it, and that consultation was super thorough. I think it took about 2 hours, and it basically just like was loads of different tests, scans of my eyes, questions, and that was to just see if I was suitable for laser eye surgery, because not everybody is. It depends on, you know, your prescription and your eyes and your age and things like that. And afterwards they were able to tell me that I was suitable, and I was able to schedule my appointment pretty much straight away. But obviously I wasn't going to be home for a while, so I had to wait until I went home at Christmas, because they only do surgery I think once a month, so you do have to be careful with that. Like the dates, there's not loads of dates to pick from. They kind of do it once a month, and you have to kind of go with those ones that they have. So that was my situation. And then after that consultation, you do one more as well with the actual doctor that's going to do your surgery over the phone. So I think I had that maybe in the beginning of December or the end of November, like 2 weeks before my surgery or something along those lines. And that was pretty much it. There's not loads of different appointments that you have to do before the surgery. It's pretty straightforward really. And another question actually on top of that I think was suitable, a lot of people are asking, like, do you have to be a certain age? And she did tell me that my age was a good age. So I'm 24 now, and she said that like at that age a lot of people's eyes start to kind of regulate, so they stop changing or they stop deteriorating, and that's kind of what you need. You need your prescription to stop changing, because say if you get it done when you're 19 or 20, your eyes could still be getting worse, so the surgery won't be as effective. But it definitely depends on everyone individually, so I would recommend to just go for the consultation and let them tell you themselves. Okay, and then the next question I'm going to go on to is about the surgery. So a lot of you are asking about the experience. What was it like? Were you awake? Was it bad? And To be honest, looking back, like, it was not that bad. I think at the time I did think it was a little bit traumatizing, but looking back, it really wasn't. I'll kind of talk you through what happened on the day of my surgery. I got it done in Dublin, and I ended up getting there about 45 minutes early, which I would recommend because you do have to do some tests again before your surgery, so it's good to have that little bit of extra time to kind of get a head start on them, to kind of not delay you or delay the doctors. So yeah, I think she did about 2 or 3 tests on me again before the surgery, just to double check everything. And one of the tests, actually, we had a bit of an issue with. One of my eyes wasn't getting to the right number that it had to be at for the surgery. I think it needed to be like over 70 or something, and it was coming to like 61 or something like that. It ended up working out in the end. She just kept having to do it a couple of times. That was just something to be aware of, like on the day you might have to do a few extra tests and things like that. So it's not just get in, do the surgery, get out. There is a few things to do beforehand. So that was that. And then when it was time to do the surgery, I just went straight in. I actually was not nervous at all. I don't know why, but I just didn't let it faze me, and I think that was the most important thing, because you'll honestly make it worse for yourself if you're worrying about it too much. I think just stay calm, know that it's so quick. The surgery itself is literally 10 minutes. You go into the room, you lie down on the bed. There was 2 lovely nurses that really like talked me through it and calmed me down, even though I was already kind of calm. First of all, they like cleaned all my eye area. They put like a hairband around my hair. I lied back. The doctor came in and he did his thing. And I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't the nicest experience of my life. I'm not gonna get into too many details because I don't want to scare anybody and I don't want to freak anybody out. But it's not the nicest experience. You are awake the whole time, so you are aware of what's going on, but they do numb your eyes, so you don't really feel anything. The only thing you're going to feel is a small bit of pressure, and it literally lasts for a couple of seconds. So it's not painful. I think it's just like the experience is very strange and weird, but it goes so fast. And once you're done, then you get out, you go into a really dark room, and I think they gave me water at that stage. At that stage as well, they talk you through all the eye drops you're gonna need, and they give you like goggles. I actually kept the bag so that I could show you guys. They gave me this little bag, and it was just full of like drops and these lovely sexy goggles. These are what you have to wear for a few nights after, so you don't like rub your eye, because at that stage as well they'd put in the protective lenses on mine, so you really don't want to disrupt them. And yeah, the nurse just kind of talks you through everything and tells you how many times to put in drops, blah blah blah. And that's that. It goes so fast. So the longest part of the whole experience for me was like all the tests and stuff beforehand. That felt like it dragged a little, but once you have the surgery done, you're good. You're out of there in no time, and it's just crazy how quick it goes. And the next question moving on from that was of course about the recovery. That was definitely one of the most popular questions. A lot of you guys wanted to know like how bad it was, because I think people hear so many different experiences from so many different people, but you have to realize as well, like everybody has a different pain threshold. For me, I would say I'm a pretty good patient. Like I can take a pretty good amount of pain. I will only take a painkiller if I'm literally like really feeling ill. So I wasn't very worried about it. Obviously I was worried at the fact that, you know, you use your eyes for so many different things, and I think for me I was more worried about being bored, not being able to use my phone, not being able to watch the television. Like what am I going to do for 3 to 5 days? But it did go super fast. So let me just give you an overview again. We left off at the end of the surgery. So after the surgery, I stayed in Dublin that night, which I thoroughly regretted, to be honest. But at the time we thought that was the right decision, because it was like 7 o'clock in the evening, and like my parents didn't want to drive all the way back down to Kerry, and they thought for me I would just want to go to bed straight away, that I'd be so tired, because that's kind of what everyone told me, to go to bed straight after the surgery. But to be honest, I actually felt fine after the surgery. I wasn't in much pain. The only thing that was really prominent was like I could not look at bright lights. I had sunglasses on the whole time, and my eyes were super sensitive to anything bright straight after surgery. So definitely make sure to bring a really good pair of sunglasses, but your doctor will tell you that anyway. That was the thing that I really noticed straight away. But otherwise I felt fine. I got back to the hotel, I kept my sunglasses on the whole time. I looked absolutely crazy, but to be honest, at the time I didn't really care. We ended up eating something, and I still had my appetite and everything. I ate away, and then I started getting like super tired, maybe around 2 hours after the surgery. So I decided to go upstairs. I did my first round of drops. You kind of have to start them straight away, and I just literally fell into the bed and I slept the whole night through. So the first night was okay, but by God, that next morning it was not a good time. I woke up and I felt just very groggy. My eyes were really, like, I don't even know how to describe it, kind of like not itchy but just irritated. And obviously we had to get home to Kerry that day, so we jumped in the car, and that journey was horrible. Like, it was really bad. My eyes watered the whole time. They felt so uncomfortable and irritated, and again the sensitivity to light was brutal. So I wouldn't recommend having to go for a long drive the next day. I think I would have been much better off if I had been at home in Kerry and I was just able to sleep that whole day. They recommend for you to like keep taking painkillers the whole time to kind of numb the pain and avoid it. So I was taking Nurofen every 4 hours just to like avoid it, and that was a great decision, and I would highly recommend that because it also made me tired so that I was able to sleep more. So yeah, the first day was not great. When I got home to Kerry that evening, I ate something really quick and I went straight to bed, and I did sleep through that night. And then the next day, it was similar, but it wasn't half as bad. Still a bit sensitive to light, still couldn't look at my phone that much or anything like that, couldn't watch television or anything like that. I was just listening to podcasts the whole time and taking Nurofen, doing my drops like religiously, and trying to sleep as much as I possibly could. And that was a lot of people's advice as well to me that had previously done the surgery. They were just like, sleep as much as you can, just sleep, sleep, sleep. So yeah, that's what I did. And then on the third day I started to feel a small bit better. I had to go to Cork that day to get the lenses removed, so I went to Cork that day. I got them removed. I expected like a big difference, but to be honest, there wasn't that much of a difference. After they removed, my eyes kind of still felt a little bit irritated, and I was still very sensitive to light. And then on the fourth day, I think it was the first day, I kind of started feeling back to myself a small bit. Still couldn't look at my phone that long or like look at light. I was still super sensitive to light, like wearing my sunglasses constantly, but I definitely felt much better. So overall, I would say the first 4 days after your surgery, you're going to be in recovery mode. Number 1 and number 2 being the worst. So just prepare yourself for that. It's not the end of the world. Honestly, looking back, I think if I hadn't had to do that journey, I wouldn't have had as bad an experience. Just be ready to be sensitive to light, not being able to look at your phone, and be ready to do a lot of sleeping. Also, my appetite wasn't very good for the first day or two. I think that's what I was also kind of annoyed about, because I couldn't eat as much. But honestly, it's just such a small amount of time for what you're getting. I would really not worry too much about it if you are looking into it. That goes for both the surgery, which is 10 minutes, and the recovery, which is 2 days. What's 2 days when you are getting your eyes back, your eyesight back, you know? And I think the next most appropriate question was how long until your eyesight came back? And this is actually another really important one that I wanted to go over with you guys, because from what I had like researched and Googled, I thought that my eyesight would come back after 4 to 5 days. I thought that I'd be able to see. I obviously didn't expect it to be perfect on day 1 or day 2 or day 3, but I thought like by the end of the first week mark, I would be pretty much back to normal. And boy, was I wrong. My eyes were blurry, I would say, for the guts of a month after the surgery. And that's not even being dramatic, but I just want to be super honest with you, because nobody told me this. And like, I expected that I'd be able to, you know, drive after a week, and I definitely wasn't. And I just think that that's really important for you guys to know, because thank God for me, like, I didn't have to drive anywhere. You know, my mom was able to drive me to my follow-up appointment, and she was able to bring me anywhere I needed to go. But I'm sure a lot of you guys need to drive or have children and need to drop them off places and things like that, so definitely be ready for that. I would say, like, I came back to New York 2.5 weeks after my surgery, and my eyesight was still blurry. Now, it's not blurry that you can't see anything, you know. The best way to describe it is probably it's a bit of a better version of what your eyesight was like before you got the surgery done. You can see stuff, like you can make things out, but it's just not super clear. It does kind of like irritate you a small bit if you try to look at something for too long and focus on it. That's something that I just really wanted to tell you guys and inform you about. I would say the first week was definitely the blurriest. Second week, still quite blurry. Third week, it started getting better. And then fourth week, I could start to really see a big difference. And by the end of that month, you're pretty much recovered, I would say. I think all those questions were kind of covering like the experience itself, but there was a few other things that you were wondering about. One being how long till I was able to travel. And I think I kind of covered this already, but they recommended 2 weeks to me. They were saying to me that like being on the plane would dry out your eyes a small bit, and that's something that they really want to avoid in the first few weeks, so that's the reason why. And another question kind of similar to that was how long until you could wear makeup again. So I think she recommended 10 days for me until I could wear eye makeup. I think it was 10 days looking back now. Yeah, it was like between a week and 10 days. Well, I was still able to wear like foundation and things like that. Another question as well was, have your eyes been super dry since the surgery? And I will say it's only in the last couple of weeks I've noticed it, so that's kind of why I'm glad that I waited to film this video. For the first while, I think I was using my drops so much that obviously they were never dry, but since I've started to use them less, I've definitely noticed it. I wasn't one to suffer that much with dry eye before I got the surgery, so maybe that's as well why I am noticing it more. But maybe it's different for everybody, but I definitely have had slightly drier eyes. But I just use, I'll show you the drops. I use these Blink ones. They actually gave me these and I've continued to use them. They're soothing eye drops and they just give you like a bit of relief. And so they're great if you do suffer with it. And another add-on to those kind of questions was how long until you could go back to work. So for me, obviously I do all my work on my laptop and my phone. So I found it was about between 10 days and 2 weeks before I could get back to like lots of laptop work and lots of phone work. I did try and get back to work quicker than that, but I just found I had to spend less time on my laptop, so maybe like an hour at a time rather than like a very long period of time, because I didn't want to tire out my eyes. I think you start to feel really like normal and back to work properly after around 10 days if I was to just put a number on it. Okay guys, and I think that is everything. I think I got through all of your guys' questions. A lot of them overlapped and a lot of you were wondering about the same kind of things really, so I hope this helped. I really do, because I definitely would have loved to watch a video like this when I was looking into it, and just like really get into the nitty-gritty questions. If you do have any other questions that I didn't happen to answer, please put them in the comments and I'll definitely get back to you straight away. And yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope it wasn't too long. I feel like I've been rambling on for hours. There's just so much to talk about when it comes to these kind of things. It's definitely something that I'm so happy that I did. I was looking into it for such a long time, and I think when I first started looking into it, it felt like it was just such a big thing to do and I just didn't know how to go about it. But honestly, just make a phone call to wherever you want to do it and start the process, because the quicker you start, the quicker you'll get it done and the quicker it'll be over. And it's not as big as you think it will be. It's honestly pretty straightforward, and I think looking back now, it was not that bad at all. I worried about things that I shouldn't have worried about. So yeah, delighted I did it. Would highly recommend it, 100%. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And I'd love for you to subscribe as well if you aren't already subscribed to my channel. And I will see you in my next video, hopefully. Bye.